If you struggle with wrist pain and movements like push-ups and planks cause pain and discomfort and you want your wrists to last a lifetime, this routine is for you. I'm going to go through a full 10-minute routine that's going to help you mobilize your wrists and also build strength through your wrists also. This is what I've used over the last 8 years to help me do things like handstands, and more recently I've started using much more strength work to help with my wrist cyst. So this entire routine is super comprehensive and it's going to be really valuable for you also. The way I like to start is focusing on elbow rotations before we go into the wrist. The reason being is these elbow rotations start teaching us how to get into a stable position when we're doing pressing exercises like push-ups. So rotating the elbow pits forwards, this causes us to externally rotate our shoulders, which gives us much more stability when we are in this pressing exercise or pressing position. Also, if you ever want to move to things like handstands, getting that external rotation is going to help a lot with stability when you are overhead. All these movements, we're going to go for about 10 to 20 of these repetitions. I'm going to ensure that this video is no more than 10 minutes long, but also so you can follow along with this at home, okay? So we'll go for 5 more, 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, and last one. From there, we're going to focus on the heel of hand raises. Again, going for 10 to 20 of these. I also like to just set like a 60-second reoccurring timer, and this can be a really good way to work through this routine. The great thing about the wrist prep as well is it is helping you prep your wrists for strength work, but also from a RSI or repetitive strain standpoint, this is going to make your wrists and elbows much more resilient if you are getting a lot of pain from working at a desk all day. So from there, we're going to put our fingers away from each other and we're going from side to side here. Again, 10 to 20 reps or about 60 seconds if you are doing the time sets. And I'm just giving a little bit of my weight into each side. But throughout this process as well, the more you lean forwards and the further your hands are away from your body, that's going to make it more intense. If you want to make it very, very gentle, you will put all of the weight back onto your heels, okay? So the weight's on my wrists much more here. Now all of the weight is on my lower body here versus my wrists. So the last one we're going to do is your fingers are back facing your knees. You're going to rock backwards and forwards 10 times. This one can be pretty intense, so you can put your hands back behind the knees. And if it is very, very tight, instead of doing 2 at the same time, you can do 1 at a time here as well. Okay, so again, for this last one, we're going to go for another 10 to 20 repetitions. Again, if you want to make it more intense, you can, like so. Finding a good position, and we're going to go for those 10 to 20 repetitions. So we'll go for 5 more here. 4, 3, 2, and last one. And now at the start, we did do those elbow pits forward. We're going to do a slightly more advanced version of that now by going onto the back of the hand. And we can just do 1 at a time. And the same advice I gave you on the previous move, out here is going to be more intense. So probably starting back beside the knee or even behind the knee is a good starting position here. Now this position is great for opening up the tissues in the forearm, but also if you ever want to do something like a muscle up, you need to have that mobility through your wrist to actually grab the rings here. And this movement that we're doing right now is an exceptionally great preparatory movement for the muscle up also. Okay, so you're going to go for 5 more. 3, 2, 1, and then we can switch sides. This is my injured wrist. So I've had a wrist cyst in my left wrist for the last 9 months. It's been very, very frustrating. I haven't been able to do any hand balancing unless I keep my wrist neutral. So this position is very, very uncomfortable, but if I'm doing it like with a parallel bar, it's okay. So if I am doing any inversions or pressing, I use parallel bars. But a lot of the movements that I'm going to be teaching you today are going to basically they're what I'm doing for my wrist cyst, and they're just going to help strengthen your wrist as a whole. Okay, so that is the mobility routine. Now we're going to go into the strength routine. So the first one we're going to go into is the banded distraction. So you're going to get a band, put it into a stable surface, and then I'm going to elevate the heel of my hand here. Now this operates similar to like if you struggle with squats and you can't squat deep, but then you elevate your heels, it's easier to squat deep. So for me, there's a lot of tension and restriction through this wrist at the moment. So I'm using the elevation here to make it less intense and more accessible to me, the same way as elevating your heels, okay? So I'm just using a towel here, and I'm focusing on getting more movement through that left wrist. At the start as well, I'm just going to prioritize the right side. And what this does is it just ensures that I'm not going too hard too soon into that injured wrist. So I'm leaning to my right. I'm going to go for 10 pulses here. And the distraction is just pulling basically my arm back into a more suitable position, and it's helping offset that cyst, okay? But this is a good, basically, strength exercise for you guys, even if you don't have an injury like I do. So we'll go for 3 more, 2 more, and then the last one. We can hold the last one for 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to do a superset with that, and also the one that we've done already, but we're going to do a timed hold, okay? So you're going to prioritize, I'm doing my left wrist here, and we're going to focus on moving away from the injured side or just prioritizing one side. So I'm going to lean to my right. I'm going to go back until I feel a stretch. I'm going to hold it for 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And then I'm going to repeat for 5 to 10 reps here. So like we said already, if you want to make it easier, you can bring your hand back closer to your knees. That's going to make it much more accessible. But for me, I'm going to stay out here. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to go for 3 more. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to show you from this angle so you can see the last 2. So again, I'm going to prioritize one side and I'm going to lean back. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And 2 more. Leaning to my right. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll do 1 more. And back for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we're going to do 1 more set with the banded distraction, and I'm going to elevate this a little bit more to make it even more accessible. This time I'm not going to focus on moving to the right side. I'm just going to go straight on with this time. And I'm going to do the 5-second holds in this round as well. So 3, 2, 1. And already that actually feels a lot better on this round than the last one. And that's just like a good idea to remember, like if you are doing any sort of strength or mobility work, but in particular like mobility and flexibility exercises, a lot of the times people might do 1 set and they might feel very stiff and that's it. But doing multiple sets, like 2-3 sets of exercises with flexibility work is very helpful, because you'll feel like on the 2nd and 3rd set, as the joints and muscles warm up and lubricate, there's just going to be more freedom of movement. So in particular, if you're doing something like this first thing in the morning, the first set probably won't feel very good. It'll feel very stiff and restricted. But then you do the 2nd set and it just feels much more accessible. Okay, so we'll do 2 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Okay, So we're going to do one more set of these guys. I'm going to just shake that out a little bit. And instead of prioritizing the right side, now I'm just going to go through the middle. Okay. And I'm going to go for 5-second holds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Again, if you want to bring your hands out further away from your knees to make it harder, or bring it back closer to your knees to make it more accessible, that's totally fine. The big thing here is just working at your level or below your level, rather than really pushing things too hard and your body's just going to tighten up more. It's not going to feel very safe. And we'll go for 2 more. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So these are the first 2 exercises. From there, we're going to grab something like a mop handle or something like that. Most of you guys will have that at home. If you're in Ireland, you can grab a hurley. And from here, we're going to go for a supination and pronation. So basically, we're going, there we go. So that's supination and pronation through the wrist. And this is building strength through that wrist and forearm. And again, you always want to think about most injuries are because of weakness. Okay, so your wrists are generally just very weak because you've probably never done any sort of mobility or strength work there. So of course they should be weak. And this is just building more conditioning and strength through the wrists. Also, you'll find, like, if you start working on gymnastic rings, in particular towards the muscle up, these types of movements are going to be really helpful to keep you strong and also injury resilient. So we'll go for 2 more. And last one. So this one again, 10 to 20 repetitions. You can make this harder if there was something on the end. There's more weight, so that's going to be harder. Again, this is at the very longest lever with this device or this tool. If you wanted to make it easier, you just shorten the lever. Okay, so now that's much less intense for me. Okay, the last one I'm going to show you is the radial and ulnar deviation. So with this one, your hand is by your side and we're focusing on keeping the elbows locked out. And again, we're going for 10 to 20 repetitions here. And we're really focusing on not bending that elbow. So instead of trying to go higher by bending the elbow, keep your elbow locked out so everything is coming from the wrist. Okay, so we're just going to do 10 on each side here. So 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I hope you found this wrist mobility and strength video helpful, and if you want to get more access to information like this, make sure and like and subscribe to the video.